The cooler nights are reminding me that I only have so much time to get all of these plants into some shelter for the winter. So today I'm loading up these ferns and taking them back to the homestead. And I want to talk to you about whether or not planting the camper garden was really worth it. Come along with me. Okay, guys, I'm going to take you outside and show you what the camper garden looks like right now and talk about whether it was worth it or not. But first, I am excited. I want to show you my new project. Some of you have been keeping up with my Homestead Rewind Facebook group, and you have seen some pictures of me talking about starting to make wine. And it's been pretty nerve-wracking for me, but I have been checking with the people at Off Grid with Doug and Stacy, the Homestead Homies group on Facebook, which is a great group of people, by the way. You should probably find them on Facebook and like that group or try to get in, because they are just packed full of information and advice and encouragement. But anyway, I showed them some pictures of my wine and the bubbling. They're telling me that it looks good. It looks really good, and that more bubbling the better. This is actually day 4, and it's bubbling even more than it was on day 2 when I posted it on my Facebook group page. But all of this yucky stuff formed on the top, and I'm like, okay, I better take a picture of that. So I took a picture and I put it on Off Grid with Doug and Stacy, and they're like, no, that's perfect. It looks great. Just let it bubble. So we're going to continue to let it bubble until it's time to rack it the first time, and then I'll have to go through another bubbling cycle and rack it again, and then it'll be time to taste it. If it's good, I'll bring a video to you guys about it. A little while ago there was a wreck out on the interstate, and I heard the sirens go by, so that means that the outer road here that we live on is going to be used as a bypass on I-44, so that the emergency vehicles and stuff can get in there. So it's really loud out here. I tried to wait a little while, but it looks like this one's going to take a couple hours to get cleaned up. So bear with me on the noise. Hopefully I'll get home soon and these noisy videos won't be as often. Anyway, as you can see, I did not get all of my ferns back to the farm. I couldn't fit them in my car. And take the fruit trees home that I rescued. We took the orange tree, the lime tree, and the lemon tree, and the peach tree, and we put them on the back of the trailer. Not a good idea. Hubby thought it was okay to drive 75 miles an hour down the interstate, and they lost all of their leaves. But I've put them inside now in the back glassed-in porch at the farmhouse, and I'm hoping that the stable air and stuff will recover them. We'll see. I hope I didn't kill them. If anybody knows whether they'll come back or not, leave that down in the comment, and any other advice you want to give me. I thought they might make it through, but I didn't know for sure how the wind would affect them, because the trailer does sit very low to the ground. Now, that being said, I still have trees. I have the apple tree and the like 5-apple tree and the pear tree, and also one other key lime tree out here that has to get home. And I'm going to try to find an enclosed trailer or let them go dormant, except for I can't with the lime tree here in Missouri, but I'll let the fruit trees go dormant before I try to haul them home in the back of an open trailer. That's the plan anyway. So right after I got the ferns home, I went to the grocery store and they had a sale on mums, 4 for $10. Who can pass that up? I did get some pretty dirty looks and some angry sparks from hubby on that, but I'm like, I can take them home and plant them. I'll take them home and plant them, and they'll come back next year. So hopefully they will come back next year. I have actually been successful in planting mums and having them come back the next year. Now I want you to look at the potato vine, and I don't know, I'll try and look for a picture of how that first started out. This is the sweet potato, and it's grown like crazy. The bugs are starting to get to it now, and I'm thinking it might be getting close to time to dig those up. We'll see. I'm gonna let it go a little while longer just because they are in a very filtered sunlight. They are in a container. I really don't expect to get any sweet potatoes out of those, but it made a pretty vine, and it's my first time ever trying to grow sweet potatoes. Look at this ginger root, guys. That is from one flow of ginger that I planted. It's a really pretty plant, and it's starting to shoot up another one of these. I think that I'm going to keep this container under cover for the winter in the back room, which is glassed in at the farmhouse where my son is staying, and see if I can grow another shoot of this up. Now, to answer the question, was the camper garden worth it? And the simple answer is yes, it was worth it, and there's several different reasons why. Last year I had done a little bit of experimenting with container gardening, and just because I love to have plants all around me, there was no pandemic or any of this concern about food shortages. And so I was really just doing it for something to do to pass the time, and because I love to grow plants. And I had never container gardened in my life before, and wanted to see, try to focus just on that instead of having a big garden to deal with too, like I did at home. Last year was semi-successful. I mean, I was able to grow things in pots, and I was pretty impressed about how easy it was to do. So this year I wanted to do it again, only this time try to produce a little bit more food for us here at the campground. During this 2-year course, I've learned quite a bit about container gardening, and I really believe that there will be a lot of that, and especially above ground raised bed gardening at the farm, because it is so rocky and the clay is just so hard there. But this has given me experience to lead me towards my return to the homestead, and in the spring building those gardens. Reason number 2, it's the obvious one. We have gotten fresh fruit off of there, fresh tomatoes. I've even given away tomatoes to people here at the campground. I've had a few cucumbers. They were not real successful. They've only really started doing good here lately since it's cooled off. And I've got one that I'll show you here in a minute. I'm not really sure what it is. I thought it was supposed to be a lemon cucumber, but it doesn't look like my lemon cucumbers. I have actually been able to freeze bell peppers, and bell peppers is something that I've never been greatly successful at in a regular garden in the ground, and I know that container gardening definitely works for those, and I will be using that method in the future at the homestead to grow more. The abundance of herbs that I've had this year, and even some new herbs that I've never grown before, is well worth the experience of putting in my camper garden and learning about the herbs, learning how to preserve the herbs, and just cooking with them on a regular basis. The next reason I have is to show you guys that you can do it. If I can do it in a camper garden right here outside of St. Louis, you can do it too. And remember, I had a lot of shade, and I'll show you about that tomato plant that I grew in the shade. I showed you in my last garden video how it was growing so big, and it was blooming, but it wasn't making fruit. I'll show you what I did with that in a minute. I want to tell you about the pineapple sage plant here that's went crazy. I actually picked a stem off of that and put it in a flower bouquet earlier, like in August or so. And those flowers lasted a long time in that vase. And when I went to throw it away, it actually had roots on it. So you can propagate at least pineapple sage by putting the stems in water. It will grow roots. And right here, there's that plant. This is my stevia. And you will see I'm letting my herbs go to seed, the ones that will anyway. This basil has just gone nuts, and it's planted with my comfrey plant. That comfrey plant, I'm starting to believe that it is, if you plant it and you use it for fertilizer, some people make a tea out of it. Since it's growing so well with this basil, I know that it must have some kind of good properties, even though it's buried. It's not buried in the ground like it will be when I get to the farm. The thing that makes the comfrey plant so valuable is its long taproot, and it's not able to get that here in this container. But I do know that it was a very healthy plant when I got it in the first place. Can't wait to get it home, get it planted, and hopefully it'll come back again next year. I did get in touch with the people at the farmers market to make sure that I might be able to get some from them next year. They're pretty sure they're going to have it for sale there at Buffalo, and then I can restock. This is the tomato plant that I topped, and you can see it's still growing tomatoes off of it. And it did have some ripe ones, but one of the maintenance guys came over today and brought me some tomato plants of someone who had just left the park. And I said, well, I mean, I could try and see. This is one of those tomato plants. It looks like it's a pear tomato. They had to leave, and so I adopted the plant, and maybe I'll get a couple ripe ones off there before it freezes. But anyway, that cherry tomato did have ripe ones, and I gave them away to him for bringing me all, for thinking of me instead of just throwing these poor tomato plants right straight into the nasty dumpster up there. My nasturtium is coming back. It is a fact. Nasturtium does love cooler weather. Mine's not big and poofy like you see like Doug and Stacy or even Heidi has over at Rain Country. It's not that big, but it's in a little pot. I'm hoping next year I will have some big giant ones. Of course, sage has always done well for me. This is the purple sage, and it's always done well for me. That one will probably go in the pot. I'll take it to the farm and I'll cover it real heavy with some hay, because I do know, or straw, I'm not going to use hay, but I do know that plant will come back. I used to have one that was ginormous. These are my purple bell peppers. They're still making peppers and they're still blooming. So I'm going to have quite a few more of them. Okay, I want to tell you my number one reason for calling my camper garden a success. Now, I know, and probably most of you know, that there was a seed shortage this year, this spring. There was such a run on seeds and maybe some other things. You hear rumors, but you don't know. But I know for sure that, like Baker's Creek and such, there was such a run on trying to buy seeds because everybody's seen this pandemic getting to be bad, and food shortages, which we have some. I don't think they're real bad right now, but I think it's going to cause people to continue to seek out seeds. And so I've never been a seed saver. I've never really known how to do that. If something volunteers in my garden, I consider myself lucky and roll on. By the way, I had volunteered. That one cherry tomato over there that's still producing was a volunteer from last year's tomatoes. But I want to say that I am able to collect seed, and I'm growing all of this up for seed saving. And you can see my purple beans, which I got lots of those off of there. Never all at once at the same time. Of course, now they're too big to pick, but I'm letting them all go to seed because I don't know if next year I'm going to be able to get the purple green bean seed, and I just love these things. And they are really great pickled and put in the refrigerator. My marigolds, I'm collecting seed from them. I'm doing some studying on the herbal value of marigolds. Apparently these are the French marigolds, and it's a little bit harder for me to find out what kind of medicinal value or uses that they have. But I am going to try to dry a few of these up and put them in jars, and maybe if some of you guys know, French marigolds can be used for speaking herbally or in medication, herbal medicines. Give me a comment down there in the comments, and I'll get back with you, and you can help me, maybe even mentor me on French marigolds. My moonflower, my mysterious moonflower that popped up. Oh, by the way, guys, out at the farm, there is a plant that is a lot like this, and you can clearly see that it bloomed in the night and the blooms were going away in the daytime. And they're forming these seed pods like this, but they're not forming like, drooping down. Their seed pods are straight up. So I'm thinking that it's another variety of moonflower. How big of a coincidence is that you have moonflowers that you didn't plant and don't know anybody around you who have them. You can see some more of my basil is seeding out. My Swiss chard jumped back to life, and I've been picking off of it and eating it with my eggs for breakfast. Yummy. This is the cucumber I was talking about. I guess it's a cucumber. I don't know. It's on a plant that looks like a cucumber, but I don't think it's a lemon cucumber. I've been eating lots of lemon cucumbers off this one plant, but you can see that's what my lemon cucumbers look like. So I don't know. If you guys know, let me know. Oh, and if I can get back here to the eggplant. The eggplants are getting big. It's kind of droopy right now. I guess I better get out here and water these tonight. But I actually have 3 of those on there. Pretty excited about that. I love eggplant. I actually have already ate one. I just took it, put it in some oil, and put a little bit of garlic, fresh garlic, in a skillet, fried it on both sides, salt and peppered it, and ate it just like that. It was just fine for me. This is the tomato plant. Remember, it had the big, long, heavy stalk that was over in the shade. I started it from seed. I left it out there underneath that big tree. You can look back through my videos and watch its growth, but it kept getting these blooms on it and nothing ever happened. So I said, I'm gonna move it to the sunshine. Now, know where I am in this campsite has full sunshine. It only, on this side of the camper, only gets about 6 hours of sunshine a day. But it's been enough because, as you can see, it was like overnight. It just started forming tomatoes on there. It hasn't been over here a week. So I might get a few tomatoes out of it, but I really am not unhappy about that experiment. I mean, plants will grow without shade, and some will produce without shades, but I think tomatoes, you probably better keep them in the sun. And if you're really serious, you want full sun. Okay guys, I think that's gonna wrap it up. This seems like it's getting a little bit long, and you know my 10-minute rule. I don't like to get over that very often because I know you guys have busy lives. But I was very excited to show you the final stages of my garden. It won't be long before I start pulling these plants up and trying to get these pots and dirt back to the homestead. No, I'm not going to throw them in the dumpster. No, I'm not. I don't. I rescue things from the dumpster. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed this video, please hit a like button, and I have several more videos coming up. We went to the farm, like I said, to take the ferns back last week, and we got some more things done there at the farm, and an exciting new arrival at the farm. That video, I think, is going to be coming up next. Anyway, I'll let you go for now till we meet again. Love and peace to everyone.